When we think of foods that harm our hearts, we usually think of fatty or salty foods, but sugar can be just as damaging. Research shows that a high sugar intake can increase our risk of heart disease. But how exactly does this work? First, let's talk about blood pressure. Consuming too much sugar can cause spikes in insulin, which in turn can make our blood vessels tense up, raising blood pressure. Over time, chronically high blood pressure puts extra strain on our heart and blood vessels, increasing the risk of heart attacks and strokes. Then there's inflammation, which is our body's natural response to injury or infection. However, when we eat a lot of sugar, especially added sugar, it can trigger ongoing low-level inflammation. This type of inflammation damages the blood vessels over time and is one of the major underlying causes of heart disease. Excess sugar can also lead to higher levels of harmful cholesterol. Studies have found that people who consume a lot of added sugar tend to have higher levels of LDL cholesterol, often referred to as the bad cholesterol, as well as triglycerides, both of which are linked to heart disease. When these fats accumulate in the blood, they can start to clog the arteries, restricting blood flow to the heart. Multiple studies have shown that people who consume more added sugar have a significantly higher risk of developing heart disease. In fact, one study found that individuals who got 25% or more of their daily calories from added sugar were more than twice as likely to die from heart disease as those who consumed less than 10% of their calories from added sugars. So, while sugar might seem harmless in small amounts, regularly consuming high levels of it can have serious consequences for our heart health. Making small changes, like choosing whole foods and reducing sugary snacks and drinks, can make a big difference. Let's start with how our liver processes fructose. Unlike glucose, which is used by nearly every cell in our body for energy, fructose is processed almost exclusively in the liver. When we consume small amounts of fructose, like what we get from eating a piece of fruit, our liver can handle it just fine. But in today's diet, we're often consuming fructose in much larger amounts, especially through high fructose corn syrup found in sodas, sweets, and processed foods. When our liver is overloaded with fructose, it starts converting this extra fructose into fat. Some of this fat is sent out to be stored elsewhere in the body, but a portion can stay in the liver itself. This is where things can get risky. When fat builds up in the liver, it can lead to a condition called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NAFLD. Think of it like your liver becoming clogged with fat. At first, this fat buildup might not cause noticeable symptoms, but over time, it can progress into something more serious. As NAFLD worsens, it can lead to inflammation in the liver, causing the liver cells to become irritated and damaged. If this inflammation continues unchecked, it can start forming scar tissue in the liver, a process known as fibrosis. In advanced stages, fibrosis can turn into cirrhosis, where the scarring is so extensive that the liver's ability to function is severely compromised. And in the worst cases, this can lead to liver failure, a life-threatening condition where the liver can no longer do its job of filtering toxins, digesting food, and supporting overall health. We often think of sugar as a quick pick-me-up, but consuming too much sugar can actually have negative effects on our brain over time. When we eat sugary foods, they trigger a release of dopamine, a feel-good chemical in our brain. This is the same chemical released with rewarding experiences, which is why we often crave sweets when we're feeling down or stressed. However, this dopamine release can be a double-edged sword. Over time, the brain starts to need more and more sugar to get the same high, leading to a cycle of cravings that can feel similar to addiction. This cycle of craving sugar can lead to mood swings. After a sugary snack, we may feel a quick surge of energy and happiness, but as our blood sugar drops, so does our mood. This roller coaster effect can make us feel irritable, tired, and anxious. And it doesn't stop there. Studies have found a strong link between high sugar intake and an increased risk of mental health issues like anxiety and depression. Excess sugar causes inflammation in the brain, which is thought to contribute to these conditions over time. And it's not just mood that sugar affects. Too much sugar can impact cognitive function as well. Research has shown that people who regularly consume a high-sugar diet may experience more rapid cognitive decline, potentially affecting memory and processing skills. Over time, this can make us feel foggy, less focused, and even increase the risk of diseases like dementia. So while sugar might feel comforting in the short term, it's important to recognize the long-term effects it can have on our brain and mental health. By making small changes, like choosing healthier snacks or reducing sugary drinks, we can support better mood stability and protect our brain function. We all know that sugar isn't great for our teeth, but do you know why? When we eat sugary foods or drink sugary beverages, it's not just the sugar itself that causes the problem, it's what happens afterward. Our mouths are filled with bacteria, some of which are actually helpful for maintaining a healthy oral environment. But certain types of bacteria feed on sugar, and when they do, they produce acids as a byproduct. These acids are the real troublemakers. They start to erode our tooth enamel, the hard, protective layer on the outside of our teeth. Once the enamel is worn down, our teeth become more vulnerable to damage, leading to cavities or small holes in the teeth that can grow over time. And once a cavity forms, it doesn't go away on its own. It usually needs to be filled by a dentist to prevent further decay. When we consume a lot of sugar, it doesn't just affect our waistline or our energy levels. It can actually accelerate the aging process of our skin. Here's how. When we eat sugar, the molecules can attach to proteins in our body in a process called glycation. This glycation creates harmful molecules known as AGEs or advanced glycation end products. These AGS damage important proteins like collagen and elastin, which are essential for keeping our skin firm, smooth, and youthful. But that's not all. Excess sugar intake is also linked to inflammation in the body, and inflammation is bad news for our skin. It can aggravate conditions like acne, making breakouts more frequent and harder to manage. Sugar spikes insulin levels, which can lead to more oil production and clogging of pores, further worsening acne. Let's look at the connection between sugar and certain cancers. Research suggests that a high sugar intake may increase the risk of some cancers. Why? High sugar consumption can lead to chronic inflammation and elevated insulin levels, both of which can create an environment where cancer cells are more likely to grow. This is especially relevant with processed sugars found in sweetened drinks and snacks, which can fuel the body in a way that may promote cellular changes over time. Next, sugar and kidney health. Our kidneys play a crucial role in filtering waste from the blood, and high sugar levels in our bloodstream can put extra strain on them. When we consume too much sugar, it raises blood sugar levels, which in turn can damage the tiny blood vessels in our kidneys over time. This damage may lead to reduced kidney function or, in severe cases, kidney disease. People with diabetes are especially at risk because their kidneys are already working hard to manage blood sugar. Finally, let's talk about sugar's impact on our immune system. Excessive sugar intake can weaken our immune response, making it harder for our bodies to fight off infections. Studies have shown that consuming a lot of sugar, especially right after a meal, can suppress immune function for several hours. When we're regularly consuming high amounts of sugar, our immune system is constantly under pressure, which can make us more susceptible to illnesses and infections. Sugar hides in many foods, sometimes under different names. Check the ingredient list and nutrition facts, especially for processed foods. You might be surprised at how much sugar is added to things like sauces, bread, and snacks. Sodas, energy drinks, and even many fruit juices are packed with added sugar. Try switching to water, herbal teas, or sparkling water with a splash of fruit. This small change alone can make a big difference. When you want to sweeten something, try using a little honey, maple syrup, or stevia. These options don't come with the intense blood sugar spikes of processed sugars, but remember to use them in moderation too. Whole fruits, vegetables, nuts, and whole grains are naturally low in added sugars and provide essential nutrients that keep us feeling full and energized. Plus, they're packed with fiber, which helps balance our blood sugar levels. By being mindful of our sugar intake, we're not just protecting our bodies from immediate risks. We're building a foundation for long-term health and well-being. It's about balance, not restriction. A little treat now and then is fine. What matters is making smart choices most of the time. Thanks for joining me today. If you found these tips helpful, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Let's work together to create a balanced, healthier lifestyle, one step at a time. See you next time.